Alright, so here's my 2003 Rancher 350 two-wheel drive foot shift. We are going to install the Strong-Made floorboards. So here's the Strong-Made floorboard kit. They look really nice, actually. They're expensive, but I'm pretty impressed so far. And they're painted pretty nicely, or so it seems. There's all the hardware, quite a bit of different hardware. I guess this is for the brake, to lift the brake engagement up. And here's a look at the sheet they give you. So I've got these. These were not quite 90 degrees, so I went ahead and bent them back. Before, this was more that way. I can show you on this one, actually. I haven't touched this one after installing it. So I just used a vise to basically push this back in this way so it's square. And there's a pretty good gap there. I don't know what to do about that. I'm just hoping or guessing that it squeezes in, I guess, and it's okay. Maybe these things will, yeah, it looks like these will pivot a little bit if it needs to, so no big deal. And then on the underneath there, these are in, and these fit pretty good the way they fit in there. Yeah, and then those just sit right on top of the pegs, so I bet they'll squeak a little bit maybe, but won't be bad. So yeah, it looks like they'll just kind of, looks like the whole thing will actually just pivot in there. Yep, looks like it'll all pivot in there. When you remove this bolt, that was kind of a pain. Oh, it wasn't a pain, it was just in there pretty good. I just used a cheater bar. I had to use a cheater bar on it. It was in there pretty good. I don't know if it was just torqued really high or if it just had some Loctite on it, but we'll see. The heads up, this is the apparatus I'm using to torque it, torque the head bolt, or to torque this mount. Best I could figure out, the this mount is 40 foot-pounds. So you see you don't have much nut on the back of it. And so I've got a universal joint and a long 14mm socket and a torque wrench, and there's just enough in there. Hopefully the other side's exactly the same. Okay, I've got the floorboards installed. It actually wasn't, you know, everything is like, it takes at least double the time you think it would. These actually weren't too bad. A couple of tips. I installed this. You see how it's not straight on there? Like it's not centered. This bolt's not centered. So I just, the fatter part I put on the inside, because when you're riding, you only want to pivot your foot to the inside to hit the brake. So order of operations for how I installed these is I loosely put this piece on to these. Of course, I put all these end caps in the bars first, then I put these on. They weren't loose here, but they were a little bit loose. I could pivot this by pressing hard. And you want to do that because what you really want to do when you mount these is cinch up this bolt, torque it correctly to 40 pounds or whatever. Then you want to cinch these down, and these will pivot a little bit, and this has these two supports that sit on the pegs, and it'll flatten it all out, align it all, and then you come back and you cinch these up. So haven't ridden it yet, but very glad that I went ahead and purchased these. And here's some underneath view if you want. I think they did a very clean job on designing these. Personally, I would have gotten slightly shorter bolts. Maybe they didn't make slightly shorter bolts. And here's the shift side, so you can see it's right about the height of your foot, which is still good. And then underneath you have a really nice toe box. I mean, you could still get hurt or a stick could flip up there, but I'd say these are really nicely executed. And they're not really any lower than the frame, so that's nice too. Same procedure on this side for as far as how I attached them. Yeah, these are nice. All right, well, that's all. Modification. I noticed these were pretty slick, and I was also doing pegs on my Polaris, so these are the old ones off my Polaris. I just cut a little bit off the end and they fit perfect, and they work way better, way more traction.